Chapter 9. Emotional detachment from results. Most people are slaves to the scoreboard. They work hard for a day, look for a result, and if they don't see it, they get discouraged. Their effort is tied to their emotions, and their emotions are tied to immediate gratification. This is why they quit. They are looking for the harvest before they have even finished planting the seeds. To build unbreakable mental toughness, you must master the art of emotional detachment. You must learn to work with intensity while remaining completely indifferent to the outcome. You have a choice. You can be a victim of your expectations, or you can be a master of your actions. Trust the process, ignore the scoreboard. Think about the psychology of the elite. A master archer does not focus on the trophy, they focus on the grip, the breath, and the release. They know that if the process is perfect, the arrow hitting the bullseye is an inevitable mathematical conclusion. If you focus on the win, you become anxious. If you focus on the work, you become lethal. Anxiety drains your energy, focus multiplies it. When you detach from the result, you remove the fear of failure. And when you are not afraid to fail, you become impossible to stop. That's the key. Results are often outside of your direct control. You can't control the market, you can't control the weather, and you can't control other people's opinions. But you have 100% control over your effort. If you tie your happiness to things you cannot control, you are choosing to be miserable. But if you tie your satisfaction to your own discipline, you can be happy every single day, regardless of what the world does. Trust the process, ignore the scoreboard. You don't need their permission to be proud of your work. Society wants you to wait for the promotion, the award, or the public recognition before you feel successful. They want you to stay hungry for their validation. Reject that cycle. Your validation comes from the fact that you did what you said you were going to do. If you put in 8 hours of deep work, you have won. Period. The external success is just a lagging indicator of the man you are already becoming. It's not about the trophy, it's about the training. Look at the delayed gratification gap. This is the space between the work and the reward. Most people fall into this gap and disappear. They can't handle the silence. They can't handle the months or years of working in obscurity without a well done. But the elite thrive in this gap. They realize that the longer the delay, the bigger the eventual reward. They don't need a hit of dopamine every 10 minutes to keep going. Their discipline is self-sustaining. That's the key. You must fall in love with the boring work. You must find a meditative joy in the repetition, the struggle, and the grind. When the work itself becomes the reward, you have achieved the ultimate level of power. You are no longer working for a living, you are living for the work. At this stage, the external world has no leverage over you. You are unbribable and unshakable. Trust the process, ignore the scoreboard. You have a choice every time you face a setback. You can see it as a failure, or you can see it as data. If you are emotionally attached, a setback feels like a personal insult. It hurts your ego. But if you are detached, a setback is just feedback. It's the universe telling you to adjust your technique. You don't get emotional about a math problem being wrong, you just find the error and try again. Treat your life like that math problem. It's not about the win, it's about the wisdom. Stop being a outcome junkie. Stop checking your views, your bank account, or your scale every 5 minutes. Those numbers are distractions. They pull you out of the present moment and into a future that hasn't happened yet. The only now that matters is the one where you are doing the work. If you take care of the nows, the laters will take care of themselves. Trust the process, ignore the scoreboard. The world is full of people who are almost successful. They worked hard until they got close, and then they got distracted by the anticipation of the result. They started celebrating before the job was done, and they lost their edge. Do not celebrate until the mission is complete. And even then, keep your eyes on the next mission. A true professional doesn't linger on a victory, they get back to the process. That's the key to building a fortress of relentless consistency. You realize that your value is not determined by your wins or losses. Your value is determined by your commitment to the path. If you stay on the path, you are an elite human being. Everything else is just noise. It's not about the finish line, it's about the footsteps. You don't need their permission to be satisfied with your effort. You don't need the scoreboard to tell you who you are. You know who you are. You are the man who shows up. You are the man who executes. You are the man who trusts the law of cause and effect. Trust the process, ignore the scoreboard. You have successfully detached your ego from your outcomes. You have realized that the work is the only true reward. You are ready to stop looking for shortcuts and start leaning into the eternal grind. You mastered emotional detachment. Now, let's bring it all together and talk about how to turn these lessons into a permanent identity, the final level of your transformation.